One of the issues I've been hearing, not just in the Philippines but elsewhere, is this danger of artificial intelligence. We're talking earlier about cybersecurity, something you know a lot about. Can we connect that with the elections? First of all, was there any evidence that you noticed, or did Namfrel notice, that some of these problems with AI and cybersecurity, were they present at all, or were they a threat at all during the last BSKE?
Well, the last BSKE was manually run.
Okay.
So we did not
Same
have
for some precincts that had voting machines, right?
Yes, the COMELEC had piloted in Dasmariñas and in Pasong Tamo in Quezon City.
Yeah. So that's not a concern at that level?
Yes, not at that level. But if you're looking at the last national and local elections, again, cybersecurity, there were enough security safeguards that were put in place in the system, right, to protect it. But again, moving forward, since you mentioned artificial intelligence, and it's really a concern, right?
So I'm saying in the U.S., for instance, they're talking, because they're going into their election year next year, that they're seeing some campaign materials now created by AI, right? And then they're not talking about the deep fakes and maybe faces of politicians possibly talking, I guess, to fool some voters into doing something else, right? Manipulating votes.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It may not be the election system that will be manipulated using AI or any of these technologies. But it is really before the elections, the conduct of the elections. We saw that already, even without the mention of AI or consideration of AI, in our previous elections. Where there was a proliferation of misinformation and disinformation. Or
black propaganda.
Yes. And I've been saying before that these technologies can be weaponized. Right? So we've seen issues that were manipulated and from which disinformation was generated.
Well, you're the expert. What are some of the things that worry you? I mean, because our appreciation of it may be different, but from an expert's perspective, what's possible with technology like that?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do with AI. Right? At this stage of AI, there are different flavors of AI, right? One that you can design to make an artwork, a piece of artwork. One that the most popular now is the one that composes
a generative.
Yes.
The generative AI.
Yes.
ChatGPT.
Yes, all of those, right? So there are different flavors, and that the development in the field of AI will continue. Once and they will, all of these different types of AI could merge sometime in the future. So that you would have a computer that would be a generalist. Rather than specifically writing a piece of poem or coming up with a painting or something. Right? Or AI that would control, for example, robots.
Wow.
Right. We've seen it happen also in internet technologies, for example. We started with, when the internet started, for example, it was just textual messaging that was being exchanged in the network. Then we had this, what we call the user experience. You were now presented with a screen that on the screen you can point and click as two choices. Now the machines would even suggest to you. So it's going to progress in that manner, slowly, right? Relatively slowly when I say that, because with machines being more powerful now and the complexity of algorithms, then this could grow. And we've seen also AI generate programs, for example, the software. So the job of a programmer will soon be obsolete. Because then the machines will
we're seeing jobs of journalists now being replaced.
And that's exactly the fear also in the academe, right? Machines would be writing your thesis for you.
Right.
Okay, so things like that. But again, that's the challenge that we're facing, right? So there are different groups, even the countries are issuing guidelines on the use of AI, development of AI. Right? They're coming up with rules, okay, certain sets of rules that developers would have to comply with for the proper use of AI. But then again, as in the case of any technology, there are two sides to it.
Okay.
The one that is used for good,
Right.
and the
It's
one
a
that's
tool,
used,
yeah.
it's a tool. We've seen cyber criminals exploit technology,
Sure.
right? And that's what we have to watch out for. AI and machine learning being weaponized.
Right.
Okay, all of this AI will just the different flavors are actually dependent on the data sets that have been collected to train them.
Okay.
But if you mix all these data sets together, then you come up with a more powerful artificial intelligence machines.
Okay.
Right?
So what's being discussed in terms of having safeguards, right? What's being looked at by Namfrel and the others in the Philippines as maybe good practices from other countries that maybe, could be used here?
Well, there's groups studying, for example, AI and ethics.
Okay.
How do you, the ethical use of artificial intelligence, that's
Okay.
also being addressed and will form part of the rules.
Okay.
Right? Where you can use it, how to use it, again, those would be different. But the bigger challenge is the other side of the fence,
Right.
when it is used for the bad.
Right.
Right? Then it's a bigger challenge.
Right. And are there specific measures that should be looked at by maybe COMELEC or by Congress? Maybe, or should there be maybe, I don't know, a national dialogue or consultation on this issue? Or what should happen next?
There's actually, I know that the Department of Trade and Industry had formed a group, okay, but they should really work on that together with the DICT, right, and other interested groups, no? Or even
I suppose that's for consumer protection, right?
Well, that's what they're looking at,
Yeah.
specifically consumer protection. But there's a bigger concern, actually, right? So different groups should address it. In fact, today, ongoing, there's a forum on artificial intelligence under the auspices of the DTI, and that's going to run until tomorrow. Right. So we should start addressing those in that area. I, together with my colleagues in the data privacy protection field and the cybersecurity field, have formed a group to look into the different frameworks.
Okay.
There are different frameworks from the US, Canada, Australia, Japan, EU, different countries in the EU. And we're looking at the different frameworks. How do we develop our own framework?
Yeah. Can you talk about some of the features of those frameworks? What interests you, or what are some of the good points that you're looking at in some of those examples?
Well, what we're seeing is that even from the reason why we formed this group to look into it was our concern on the cybersecurity side.
Okay.
That AI will be weaponized to exploit network vulnerabilities to start with, right? And we said
possibly manipulate elections, transmissions,
right?
Canvassing.
That's possible.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, we have to look into that. But for the bigger picture, for the citizenry at large.
Right. So beyond elections.
Yes, beyond elections, how do we want this artificial intelligence to evolve and develop? Right? Addressing ethical use, the proper use, areas of application.
Right.
Okay, how do we control that? There's even move to promote really greater transparency on the software. So, for example, algorithmic transparency, we've been pushing for that as well.
Okay.
The examples that I can cite is when you use the network, the internet, for example. Everybody who uses the internet leaves digital trails.
Okay.
Where you went, where you served, what kind of subject matter did you look for. Those are pulled together.
Okay.
And comes up with a profile. This is Dante Ang.
Right.
right? It's that kind that we're concerned with. That's why we're pushing more for algorithmic transparency. Okay, the same idea is what we're pushing for also in AI. But then as the code gets more sophisticated, more complex, that's a bigger challenge. Who's going to check?
Right.
Right? So perhaps we can develop, again, a software, an AI-based software to really look at the codes. How are you being profiled? What are the factors that are considered in your decision making? Because ultimately, we've seen that controversy as well in 2016, the Cambridge Analytica.
Right.
The influence on the electorate, how the electorate was
They gave
influenced.
insights to behavior and
Right.
yeah,
So
that was manipulated by the candidates.
right. That's the complicated issue there.
Yeah.
So we have to again cut them into bite-sized pieces so that we can examine those.
Right. Let me just ask you a stupid question because, as you said, it's a tool. It can be used for something good, something bad. One of the issues in the Philippine electoral system is the list of voters, the voters list, right? Do you think there is a tech solution for that? Maybe blockchain? Is that, because, like some digital ledger that's difficult to manipulate? Or am I way off here?
Yeah. One of the recent cases of data breach, for example, is the National ID of India, Aadhaar.
Okay, yes, I heard about that.
Right? And what was even attacks here on government sites, on networks, for example, the latest case of the PhilHealth and the Philippine Statistics Authority, right? So our identities are already out in the wild.
Okay.
So what do you do?
Yeah.
The attackers attacking another or breaching another system will no longer matter because to begin with, our data is already outside.
Out there, yeah.
It's out there, right? The question to my mind is, what do I do now? What is my recourse to protect myself?
Okay.
Because that can be used, the data out there can be used against me.
Right.
Or can be used to victimize somebody else.
Right.
Right? So what measures can I take so that I am amply protected and even the people that I know can be protected as well?
Okay.
Right? We've heard cases, for example, of social media accounts being hacked and the malevolent actors would solicit, for example, for financial support.
Sure.
Because they use the contact list of the account owner.
Okay.
So it's not only the owner who is victimized there, but the people in his contact list. So how do we put in the necessary, what kind of measures can we put in and how do we put them?